Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And what a beautiful day. They had a lot of stuff going on for this weekend. I love you all, and I hope you're getting out, get your families out. Come on. Get out in nature somewhere. And if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome. And you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't be afraid, don't be shy. Swing by and say hi, Starlight, by leaving me a comment down below. Beep, beep, beep. And you can also share my videos with your family, your friends. Let me see, a dragon or an alien? Yeah. You could do that. You could share my videos with a dragon. Those are in the Bible. Aliens are in the Bible too. So yes, they're in the Bible. They're just not worded aliens. Well, they do have the word aliens in there. But anyway, besides that, sharing my videos is you can also check out my playlist and find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. So if you didn't watch the first video, you have to watch the first video to watch part 2 on Do You Believe in Aliens. But before I say that, I just want to say a big huge thank you to all of you out there who have subscribed to my YouTube channel, gave me a thumbs up, or left me a comment down below, or even if you share my video. So thank you. So Starlight has got to jump in this because this is the time where everything gets shifted with the lighting here, and this is very difficult. I used to be in my apartment and it was perfect, like I had the lighting already set. So anyway, I love you, and today, do you believe in aliens? That is what this is about. And so part 1 I ended where I was at the hospital, and there was a whole bunch of puzzles, and the doctor and staff, it wasn't just a doctor. And so in part 1, I was saying how this was not normal. Do you go into a hospital and then the doctor and the nurses are telling you that in order for you to get out of this hospital, Starlight, you got to pass these tests. Now, some of you, yeah, Starlight, I actually go to the hospital and they tell me that I can't get out until I pass this test. Well, I'm not talking about going in and, getting like exams and, things like that, like, oh yeah, you got to do a P test, you got to do blood work. No, not those kind of tests. This is not the kind of test this hospital, it was the whole hospital was like this. It was a trip, and Starlight was not taking LSD, absolutely not at all. I wasn't even on marijuana, so in this part 2 is there was all different kinds of boxes of puzzles, and Starlight is a puzzle fan. I love puzzles, different kind of mind games, not from people, absolutely not. Starlight can get away with not having mind games with people. So these were like just puzzle pieces, but there are a whole bunch of boxes. Each one had different pictures, of course. And then there's other things that, other kind of puzzles that were there that I had to, that was the thing, is that I had to sort all the boxes out. And because they told me that somebody, kind of mixed some here and put some over there and put some pieces over there. And so that is one of the tests that I had to do. And I'm gonna just kind of mix everything up a little bit, but so I don't get lost on what I'm talking about is, so from the time that I got into that hospital, and when they told me that I had all these tests, I'm like, what tests are you talking about? I had no clue, but they did, that was like a clue, they gave me clues. And that was one of the clues, is that I had to, open up these puzzle boxes and figure out what pieces belong in what box, and so, wow, what a job. I'll tell you what, I could have worked at a puzzle company, doing that job, because all the shapes and sizes and colors and you know, the pictures on the boxes, so Starlight worked so hard every day, and I was actually putting a beautiful picture together. It was my, like, I picked this one box because I was like, ooh, that's a beautiful house. And it was a beautiful house puzzle, beautiful colors and a lot of flowers in there, a driveway that went up to the house. And Starlight was like, wow, this is my future home right here. So I was actually putting, not just sorting puzzles out, because Starlight loves doing puzzles. And I'm like, hey, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I might as well. There was a table and that was set up, that you can actually put a full puzzle. I think that one was like 1,000 pieces of a puzzle, to put together. And there was a whole lot of other patients like Starlight in there, but of course, nobody else had this kind of test. Only Starlight had this test. Nobody else had to do any puzzles and the test. These were people that looked like human beings, that were aliens in human being form, believe it or not, So that is what I was dealing with, and it was mind-blowing, but man, it's a high of its own. There's no drug that can really touch this kind of high. And so nobody in that hospital, nobody was into the puzzle pieces like Starlight was. So I was the only patient that was in there that was right into doing puzzles. And so every day from day one all the way up until the day, actually I think so many days before they actually let me out, every day I worked on building this puzzle, and I would take a break, and then I would grab one, I had another table, that was another empty table, and so that table was my puzzle table. That was where, okay, we gotta dump all the puzzles out, look at every piece. I had to look at every piece, because how I gotta look at every piece. So if there's like 5,000 pieces in that puzzle box, I gotta look at every single piece, make sure they belong in that box. The next box, whatever that, I remember there was a beautiful chicken picture, there was a lot of different kind of puzzles, with pictures on it. So, in different sizes, different shapes. So each box, I would open up one box, dump them all out, looked at them, found some oddballs, found a lot of oddballs. I'm like, you don't belong in here, you don't belong in here. And I had like little piles of like, there's like a little pile here of, okay, these pieces go together, but they don't go in this box. And then I had another little pile, because Starlight is an organizer. It's a Virgo thing. I've always been like this. I have moved several times in my life. So many places that I've lived, had to pack all my stuff up. So I am really organized, and I know how to pack. I know how to get my car, fill up every single space. So I'm a professional when it comes to this stuff, and actually get to the place without nothing broken, without wrapping it up with paper and stuff. It's kind of weird. So yeah, Starlight is a professional at wrapping things up, organizing things, and this is, why I believe they kind of tested me out, because that's what I do. That's what I'm good at. So, so I did. I had all these little piles, and I worked on this puzzle the whole time. I had a lot of people throughout that week that would come by, and they would kind of look at the puzzle that I was working on, and they really weren't interested. They might look at that puzzle trying to think they could add something to it, but they didn't last. They were like, this is not for me, and then they walk away. So that was how the time that I was there, and I can't remember how many days I was there. So that is that part. I'm not going to tell you the end results of what I discovered at the very end until later on in whatever video I make. So that was one test. The other thing that I remember when I was in there, which I forgot in the other video. Now this is a trip and a half too, because these aliens know Starlight. They knew my past. they knew so much about me. That was the trippy thing. And I've already been in contact with aliens before, and another time of my life when my daughter called 911 when, they were in a UFO. They look like people. They look like people all dressed up for a business, like a business meeting or something. I could see what they look like, even though I was in my apartment, and it was a huge UFO above my apartment, but they were telling me things in my head, and I was being tested. It was a test, obey right away, and that is exactly what that test was. It was testing me out to see how well I can hear what they're saying and to actually do what they were telling me to do. And it was amazing how, bam, so it made me look like I was crazy because I'm doing weird and strange things, but I was being told what to do, and I had to, get and do those things quickly, act upon it. So, and that is, all this is so funny. I say funny because I have gone through my life. As I've gone through life, I realize I'm a very submissive female. And so this was a whole reason why they picked me and had these certain tests for Starlight. So this was a past thing that they did, these aliens did. But now back to the hospital thing again, is first thing when I actually got there, they put me into a room, in my own private room. A lot of the patients, they had to share a room. No, this was perfectly set up for Starlight, where they wanted to observe. They could see through the walls, man. I knew when I was in that room by myself that they could see everything that Starlight was doing. And because I had my own cleaning business, during this time, Starlight loves things clean. I don't like to have dirty stuff. If somebody was in that room before me, like, I better have clean sheets, clean blankets, and they did. They gave me clean sheets and blankets and pillowcases, but now I'm going to clean up the whole room without having cleaning supplies. So Starlight was, these are different tests. They put me in this room, and I remember the first weird things that I was doing is, besides, they would give me, actually, you could go down the hall and grab towels and washcloths for your shower. So Starlight would always, like, grab, like, extra washcloths. Well, I didn't have a cleaning rag, so Starlight had to, there's energy of other people and dust in the place, and Starlight was gonna just go to town just like I'm at a house, and I'm gonna head to toe clean it up, and that's what I was doing. So they were watching every single thing, and I mean, things got clean that normally nobody would clean. Starlight was cleaning it. There were shades in the windows. Starlight was cleaning the shades, like, because it's dirt and it's energy and old energy. So in this room, a lot of weird, strange things were happening. And when I arrived in that room and I was standing in the room, I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, but the bed was kind of funny. They had this buttons on this bed, and I was trying to figure out, how to use these buttons. But in a trippy thing is, because I was so heightened, I don't know what I was going through, but Starlight, in her mind at this time when I was in the hospital, like, it's almost like there was a UFO outside the hospital window, out of the bedroom window, like, and there was, it's so funny where they were coming through out of the UFO and coming into that hospital room, and Starlight was, like, inviting them in, and they had to do it. I had to do a checkpoint with them, every single one. When they came in, I had like, it was so funny. I had this checklist that I had to go by. It was my job, and, to make sure that they all came into the hospital. It's so funny. And and this was before dinner time. So these are things that Starlight was doing before dinner time, and it was so crazy. What I tell you later on about this special room is that it was like they were coming right through the glass and coming right into the bedroom where I was. And then it was dinner time, so then that was the end of that for that particular night. But Starlight woke up the next morning in that room, and what did Starlight start doing? I had to clean, you know. I had to clean the bed. I cleaned the outside of the bed. I cleaned the shades. I went in the, even though they had a person that went into the bathroom, well, Starlight didn't like his cleaning job, so Starlight would go in there and clean the bathroom. Now, this is a part that I didn't tell, so I have to kind of mention this. What they told me in the hospital, they told me this, so this is not Starlight lost her mind or anything. They told me this was a test. This was another freaking test. Whatever you do, don't turn the bathroom light on. It's got to stay dark in there. There's somebody in the bathroom. They were really naughty, and we got to punish this person that's in the bathroom. And you cannot let any light, no light in that room at all. So this was another test. So in this bedroom, come on now, like some of you are like, what the heck? Yeah, this was the staff people telling me this stuff in the hospital, that I can't let any light in that bathroom. So now that is kind of funny. And this is the part I never said in my other video, the ones that actually did watch this story, is I came from a family that has 2 blind people. Right now, they are 100% cannot see. Now, my dad was born partially blind, and later on, he ended up having some kind of accident where something went in his eye and caused it to get worse. So my dad could have been famous, because it's amazing the things that my dad could do as a blind person. He could saw wood, he when he was younger, when he had partial vision, he could ride a motorcycle, of course not legally, like out on the road in the olden days, so it was a lot different, on a dirt road somewhere, he would ride a motorcycle. And my dad actually, without not being able to see at all, really, his vision was really bad, he would actually climb up a ladder on a telephone pole, climb up there, and actually figure out the electrical wires somehow or another, and figured out what wire was what, and unhook it, so then nobody had power to a trailer that he was renting. Now, Starlight don't deal with electrical stuff. I've done electrical stuff, and when you get zapped, you're like, ah. You learn your lesson really quick is when you get zapped by electrical wires. Starlight thought she wanted to be an electrician, but after that, I'm like, woo, I'm good. So I came, like, my sister was blind. She was born blind. She couldn't see anything her whole life. So I learned things from both of my dad and my sister, which I always want to call her my daughter because I was like her mom. And my dad also would go on the roof of his house in the wintertime where everything's white, go up there and shovel the snow off the roof of the trailer. Could fall off, would not even know where the edge of the, so he's done a lot of crazy stuff as a blind man. So I learned a lot from my dad mainly, and my sister, about being blind and cannot see. So Starlight has practiced her whole life about doing things in the dark. And of course, we all been put in the dark and fed a lot of bullshit, right? So yeah, we're all used to being in the dark and told a bunch of bullshit in our life. So in here at this hospital, so all the time I would keep that bathroom door shut. And it was weird. I was like in that room, and then the cleaning guy would come through, and he would open up the door, and I'm thinking, oh, he opened up the door, he turned the light on, and he cleaned it. And I'm thinking, oh, you're supposed to keep the light. I was telling him, I'm like, yeah, we're supposed to keep the light off in there. I was supposed to turn that light on. And that person in there was doing something wrong. We're punishing that person in the dark, So I was kind of surprised that, the cleaning guy, he left the door, he let some light in there, And I was thinking, no, that person's not going to get punished because now they could see. So Starlight did a lot of funky stuff in that bathroom because, like not having any light in there. I don't even know what I look like, the whole time that I was there. I never could see my face the whole time that I was in this bedroom because I never had the light on. Now, so anytime I had to use the bathroom at nighttime, it was on, I was in a new room, didn't know my way around. And so Starlight is feeling the doors just like like, because I learned this from my family. And so it was like, oh shit, where's I didn't even know where the toilet was. So each time that I had to go to the bathroom, especially in the middle of the night, I got better at feeling my way. Oh, there's the pole, the railings, or whatever for handicapped people. And I would like, okay, feeling my way around to finally, oh, that's the toilet seat. You don't want to, So Starlight did this all this time for that whole entire time is I was in the dark in that bathroom. And I did a lot of crazy stuff. I thought the person that they were punishing was down in the toilet bowl for some odd known reason. So Starlight, anytime she went to the bathroom, I was going through some shit in there, because I was like, Starlight. True story, anytime I did number 1 or 2, I was like, there, I don't know what you did, but Starlight was, like, her imagination was out there. I did that the whole entire time that I was in the hospital because they made me think that that person, whoever it was that was in there, they did something really naughty, and Starlight's so bad. So I said all kinds. I acted like it was the devil down in the toilet bowl. That is pretty much so. A lot of crazy stuff was going on in that bathroom during this time, but this was all a test. That was one of the tests there, is to not to have that door ever have any light in there. So, in the morning I was quick. I'd open up the door and the light from the windows would, I gotta hurry up, shut that door, and get in there. So that was a trip, is using a bathroom, and never turning the light on. And so another thing that I was tested, and this is how I knew I was being watched the whole time. They could see through the walls. There was no camera that was in the bedroom, and I could feel eyes all over me. I knew I was being watched, like God was watching me in the room, And then I took a shower. I went and got ready for a shower. And so this is how I knew that they were spying on me. They were watching me, these aliens. And my aliens from a long time ago, they could see through walls. They could walk through walls. They could walk through walls, and they could talk to you without moving their lips. So, and they had their third eye was wide open, So anyway, when it came to taking the shower, I was tested one of the nights that I got ready, got my towels, got the soap, asked for the soap and all this. Well, as I was heading to the bathroom, a lady goes by and says, the chair is crooked. Or wobbly, that's what she said. The chair is wobbly. So this was a test. Starlight's a miss, fix it. So so I go in the shower room. I always do this. I look around, is there any cameras in here? Because I'm going to take all my clothes off. So I looked around, I didn't see no cameras, So the funny thing is, I did things backwards in there. I wasn't thinking. I had everything kind of backwards. So when I went in there, I set everything up for, the shower, had my towels and stuff like that, and I touched the chair and I realized, oh yeah, it is a wobbly chair. So then I had to figure, okay, why is this a wobbly chair? Find out that all 4 of the legs of the chair had these little screw-in things in the bottom, which, each leg had a hole that, these little, it's so you can adjust the chair up and down a little bit, which I kind of thought was kind of weird because it wouldn't really make too much of a difference with these things when they're only that tall, But they went and they screwed in underneath the chair legs. So there was only 3 of them. So with, so Starlight had to figure a way of, the whole thing is when they said that chair is wobbly, Starlight doesn't want to see anybody get hurt, in a shower room, slip and fall. So I was like, fix it. So Starlight's like, okay, I'm going to fix this chair. I'm like this. I'm like, if I see something broken, I got to figure out how to fix it. If I can do it, I will attempt to doing it. And I didn't have any tools. So I'm in the bathroom and I'm playing around with this chair. And now if there's 4 legs to a chair, and they all have holes, and they all have these little screw things. I'm just going to challenge you guys and girls out there. I know one of you actually already watched this part of the video before, but if there's 3 things that are screwed in the bottom and the chair is wobbly because the 4th one is not screwed in, now it still would be wobbly, even like these screwed, you know, and you could adjust them. So so I could screw them all in, but it would have a little slight wobbliness because the 4th one, it wasn't there. It still would be wobbly even if they were all screwed in, you know. So there's no way really to adjust them. So how do you think Starlight fixed the problem to get this chair to not to be wobbly? Doon 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 do 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 do. What? I don't know if any of you guessed, but so Starlight's like, how am I gonna fix this? I took them all out. Yay! Starlight passed that test. I took them all out. I unscrewed them all, put them on a, you know. And the weird thing is Starlight did things backwards, and I do this too. Sometimes I do things backwards. I don't like jumping in the shower unless I know the shower is clean. So Starlight did it backwards, though. Is what Starlight did is I cleaned all up, got every body part clean, did my shave and did all that. Then, you know, I got my underwear on, and now I decided to clean the shower. Why? I don't know, okay? I did it backwards. I should have taken that extra washcloth, put some of the shampoo or the body soap on there, and, you know, cleaned it up and, you know, rinsed it off, and then took my shower. I think I wanted to hurry up and get in and out because I don't know if anybody else is waiting. That's my only answer. So anyway, no matter what, now the shower is clean, the chair is fixed. Starlight, now I'm kind of dirty because I kind of, you know, went in there. I had to clean my hands up because I was getting it all grimy. So now I'm actually heading out of the bathroom, and there's a staff. Actually, this is the lady that I felt like was an alien that came right off of her UFO and landed at the hospital to come in here to do her job, you know, because that's what she was there to do. So she's walking down the hall, and she's a lady that would talk to me in a room. She's like the captain of all these aliens or something, you know. She's like the, I don't know, I would have to say a captain or something. She's the leader of this whole alien stuff going on at the hospital. So she walks by and she's like, you did it, you did everything back, you did it backwards. And I'm thinking, I was walking down the hall like, did it backwards. Why did you do it backwards for? Or something like that, she said. And I'm thinking, what did she mean by that? I did something backwards. I'm like, wait a minute. How does she know that I did the bathroom wrong? I should have cleaned the bathroom first and then cleaned up myself after. So I did do it backwards. But I'm thinking, how the blink did she know? Because they can see in the bathroom. So they saw my butt. They saw everything. They seen everything. You know? What was Starlight? I hope Starlight was not doing anything weird in that bathroom, but they saw everything in that bathroom. So they knew that Starlight took a shower and then cleaned up the walls and the floor, you know? So that part, I might have not have got a full point for that one because, you know, they probably knew I was going to go in there and clean it, but I did it backwards, you know? So maybe I got like, you know, maybe I didn't get an A+ for that job, you know? Maybe it was an A-, you know? I don't know what score they gave me for, you know, whoops. I did clean it though. That was probably one of the tests, is that they know that Starlight wants to have it clean. I don't want to sit in other people's stuff. What did they do in there? You know, did they pee in the shower? Did a man do something funny in there before I got in there? Anything could happen in these places. I'm serious. People get lonely, you know? It's like, oh, yeah, I'm in the shower, you know? So, anyway, I gotta end this video now. So, what a way to end, right? People doing strange things in showers. Believe me, there's a lot of weird shit goes on in showers. Starlight used to clean houses. So, anyway, that is, trying to think. Yeah, that is the end of this. This is part 2. I hope you enjoyed. This is Starlight. You could give this video a thumbs up. You could subscribe to the YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave me a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. And you could share my videos with your family, your friends. A red dragon. Yes, you could share my... I've rode on one of those babies. And you can share my videos with another alien. And you can also check out my playlist. Plus, you can find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. I love you all. I know, that was a weird ending. Like, Starlight? I know. But yeah, aliens do that kind of stuff. Never know what to expect from an alien, especially when they're peeking on you in a shower. So yeah, you think you got privacy anywhere you go? They know everything you've done. Yeah, even that. Oh yeah, and that. Yeah, and that. You know, the eyes of God are everywhere. I'm serious. You think that because you close a door and no one can see, you're wrong. So anyway, I love you. Not here to scare you. This is just to let you know, hey, like somebody sent me they've been here before. I know they were here before I got here. So they've been here for a long time, you know, so because it's in the Bible, you know, like how old it, you know, holy cow, you know, they've been here for a long time. Everybody's waiting for them they're here. So I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.